Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm Jeff Howard, and I'm on Zoom right now with Graham High. Hey, Graham.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. Thanks for being here. And here comes your introduction. So, Graham, before I do the introduction, I will do not an apology, but the disclaimer. Yes, we are on Zoom, which means there could be micro delays, there could be this, there could be that, there could be sound quality issues, even though I see Graham actually has a great microphone. I've got a good microphone.
Yeah.
So we probably sound pretty good, but, apology. I know actually COVID really lowered everyone's standards on audio quality, but still, I guess I'm uptight about it. So I always make sure I warn people we're recording on Zoom.
Yeah.
So that being said, Graham was the director and producer of the film The Housesitters, which is, and by the way, cursing is allowed on the podcast. It's not required, but yeah. The Housesitters is motherfucking hilarious. It was at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival in 2022.
Oh, yeah.
Just unbelievably funny. Honestly, one of my favorites. In fact, I think I recounted the whole thing to my wife this afternoon when I told her, I got a podcast tonight. She's like, really, who? And I'm like, Graham High, he's the guy who directed Housesitters. Remember that one? And she's like, which one? And then as soon as I started explaining it, she was like, oh, and then there are... Well, anyway, I don't know. Well, so wait. I'm being such a goofball. Do you want to... Is it available for people to see yet?
So you can stream it on Bloody Bites TV. And, I'm literally, by the time this comes out, you can find it on my YouTube channel. I just talked to Matt and Erin. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this podcast. Remember that movie we did that everyone loved? Can I put it on my YouTube channel? And they said yes. So today, tomorrow, I'm uploading it. By the time you hear this, you go to my YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Actually, this will come out in a couple weeks. So perfect. So, and now I'll ask you while everyone's listening to us, because I could forget later, just fire off an email with a link, and we'll have a link in the show notes right to Housesitters. And I highly recommend anyone listening who likes to laugh should go right to that link, watch it, and then listen to the rest of this podcast. Because honestly, it's kind of an all-time fave of mine. It's funny in every way, and it was such a treat. I believe you had like a really, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had a really great festival run, and then Sherman Oaks Film Festival was near the end of your run, yeah?
We had a pretty good one. Let me see. I think I was just looking at the dates. I think you guys were right in the mix. So we premiered at Holly Shorts that summer, and I think you guys were in the fall, like October or November or something like that.
Yeah, we used to be the weekend before Thanksgiving. Now we're the weekend after, the first weekend of December.
Okay. Yeah, and so we had a good run. We had a lot of LA, but I thought it was like a big loop-de-loo, but you were within the first like 4 or 5 months of us.
Okay, cool.
Playing.
All right, so my memory was a little off, but either way, just a great film, and I'm glad it's having a good life. Had a great festival run, and is now online. And I'm now, and I'm not going to I'm going to let everyone know, like we rescheduled this podcast many times in the last 3 years.
Yeah. Well,
I just appreciate you. I appreciate your fortitude and your stick-to-itiveness, because, most of the time if someone reschedules, it can be over. And like this one, no, we're talking about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I think, Jeff, I have to lay it out. I mean, 2022, people were like, wait, are they keep saying the wrong? No, this is came up on 3 years ago. This film played at your lovely festival. And it was one of those things where I was like, I'll do the podcast. And then eventually life just, now he's 4 and, I got a full-time job and just life happened. And Karina, your producer, who's also a friend and sometimes collaborator of mine, was like, hey, are you ever going to do the podcast, the Discover Indie Film podcast? I was like, oh my God, I need to do that because I love what you do, and I love talking about the film and film in general. So I appreciate you. You could have been like, listen, man, the cutoff is after 2 years. But no, it's really cool to come back and talk about the film. And, we've had it on Bloody Bites. It played some festivals. We had a nice, good run. But yeah, I'm ready to just share it with people and, have people check it out and, let me know what they think. So I'm happy to talk about it today.
Excellent. Very cool. And I guess normally this comes at the end, but I will give the spoiler that at the end of this podcast, I'll be saying the very rote podcast guy statement of Graham's. There will be clickable links in the show notes for people to go watch Housesitters on Graham's YouTube, and then write him a note and tell him how hard you laughed, because why not? It'd be fun. And I appreciate you coming on. And I mean, it was just it was great. What's funny is, so besides showing at Sherman Oaks Film Festival 3 years ago, I also want to mention, this is funny to me because the film got 2 awards, which was not enough for me, by the way, but I'm not allowed to cheat. But you got both Best Lead Actress and Best Lead Actor, which is funny because we were always against having gendered. We normally like Best Lead Performer. But the funny thing is, I think the next year we finally realized, oh my God, we should have Best Comedy. We should have Best Performance by a Duo.
Oh yeah,
because acting duos are actually really special on screen.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'll just go ahead and shout out the core, the heart of the film is Matt McConkey and Erin Pineda, who you're talking about. They both won acting awards for that, and I was so happy that you all, the grand jury, recognized them because they are the Housesitters. The story came from them. What you see on screen is these very hyperbolic, silly versions of them, but they had an experience that kind of was the genesis of this idea. They wrote it, they produced it with me along with my sister Brittany. So, without them, there is no Housesitters. So it was so cool that they got the recognition that I was hoping for. They got a couple other nominations along the way, and they're such great actors. You've probably seen them here or there pop up on Physical or Matt had a long run on a podcast, Homophilia, and they're really accomplished actors, but it was great to step into their world. That's entirely their world. So yeah, if you check it out and you watch it, it's all coming from them. And it was all about just channeling their amazing creative energy, their vibes. They brought their friends on that acted in the film. So they basically cast it for us because they just knew it. So if you watch a Housesitters, I loved being a part of it, but they're the real heart of the whole thing. So it was so cool that you guys got 2 awards. I got to drop them off and be like, hey guys, you get it. Here's some recognition, which is so hard to come by in this industry. So
yeah, for sure. Well, that is very cool, and I just want to recognize you because it's very well directed. I bet I said that at the Q&A 3 years ago. Something comedy. I always believe so strongly that it's actually the hardest. It is the hardest genre because something can be funny on the page and even funny on the set. But if it's not well directed, if it's not well edited, if things are off, just jokes die. Jokes that should be funny die. And sometimes, obviously we get a little more than 1,500 films a year submitted to the 2 festivals I run.
Wow.
And, there's stuff you watch and you just think, oh man, I know that would have been funny if the timing of the performance is critical, but then if the camera position wasn't right or the direct, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's, whereas, boy, if someone does drama really well, you just point the camera at them and you kind of can't fuck it up.
Well, it's, it's all hard, but hey, I'll take any respect for comedy out there. I guess I don't know if people already know, but it's the general idea of the Housesitters is these 2 loser out of work actors are watching their more successful friend's house for the weekend. She leaves for some retreat, and they're watching it, and then they discover that that house is a murder house, some horrific murders from the 60s, 80s, 70s. We'll really go into it. Was committed there, and then as the night goes on, they think that person or that ghost or that specter may come back and be reenacting the crime. So they're a very funny duo. They're like these two lovable losers that are obnoxious and vulnerable and over the top, but at the same time, I feel like we kind of deliver on the scares, but it's never too scary. I appreciate that thing. I feel like comedy and horror, like you need the setup and the payoff. And this was a really special project for me, just because it was Matt and it was Erin and it was this idea they've had for a long time. And they saw another short I made, and I shot that on my iPhone. And they were like, wow, you did that with your iPhone? Can you do that with this idea? And I said, yeah, of course, let's do it. So I shot it. They acted in it. I directed it. My sister produced it with me. And, it was a very chill, like we try to keep it just not too precious. Some of these guys, they go and they work on these big sets. They work with like A-list talent. And then it's like, the whole day is this high pressure cooker. Our goal is just to keep it light and fun. And I watched it last night because, sometimes you take breaks from your own work and you're like, what was that? And I watched it last night. I'm like, oh, I'm at peace with it. I'm like, this is all the things I wish I did on the day. It's funny. They're funny. There's some good scares in it. And I think the biggest thing I would say to any other filmmakers is if you get the chance to work with another creative, and I mean, if you're a director and someone else writes the script, or you're a DP and you let someone else direct it, or whatever it is, if you can partner with someone that's taking a little bit of the creative power, it really challenges you a new way. Because in this very specific relationship, I'm not so precious with the Housesitters. I'm like one of the first audience members. I'm like, you guys are funny. They had a story beat, like, all right, here we show up, and then we do this, and then we do this. And I was very lucky to be brought in at that stage, just to be like, okay, so can we spend more time here, or can we set up a joke here, or can we pull out the scares a little bit? So that's not very common, at least in the lower indie level that I've dealt with. Like usually you're kind of bootstrapping your own project. You wrote the script, you directed it, it's your money, and it's all you. And then at the end of it, you're like, what did I do? So part of the magic of the Housesitters is like, it really was like all of us just like kind of playing in the corners that we really wanted to play in. And me not being the writer really freed me to just be like, how do I bring this to life in a visual way, in a pacing way? I'm so grateful they asked me to do that. And if you're a director out there and anyone asks you to direct their script and it's not terrible and they're willing to let you work on it, that's like an amazing experience. And I'm so grateful to Matt and Erin that they trust me to do that.
It sounds really positive. And you'll probably tell me more about how it all came together, because I'm about to try to pull your entire life's biography out of you.
Yeah.
Or at least your creative life's biography. Yeah. Maybe I should, because I was about to focus on, you naturally led me to want to ask about like how much fun it was, because their chemistry, they're real life friends. And their chemistry on screen, actually, sometimes real life friends, right, don't have great on screen chemistry, but their on screen chemistry is like through the roof. Just they make each other unbelievably funny. They're so funny together. But yeah, we can discuss that once you get there. So and you did, like I said, you did a great job. You did honestly an excellent. Just the film is so well made, and that's so cool that it was your sister helping out, family stuff. Always cool.
We've collaborated on several things. We're great collaborators. She has my back, and shoot on your iPhone makes some things easy and makes some other things more difficult. So yeah, very shout out to my sister Brittany. She's helping me make a documentary right now, and I'm like, I don't know how many of these I got left. Like, hey, I got this thing. Can you help me? And she's a great producer. So yeah, we had our own little duos, best friends and brother sister.
Excellent. Well, so I might be about to find out how creative the entire family is. So where did you grow up, and when did you first? Were you always a creative kid? Were you a writer, or did you start playing with cameras and things early? What was your starting point with film and filmmaking and just creativity in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think the earliest thing was my mom had a boyfriend that had like a camera, just like a VHS tape, one of those huge honking 1980s things. And, he would do the thing where my sister and I would stand on the deck, and then he would hit record and we'd be like, hi. And then he would stop hitting record. And he was like, all right, go away. Like, go over here. And he hit record and the deck is empty. And then he would say, okay, go back. And he would hit record again. And we'd be standing there and we watch a playback. And then we just see ourselves like appearing and disappearing from the deck. And we're like, what is this thing? Like, it's not just a movie. So, and then years later in high school, my sister and I wrote a Blair Witch parody called The Sandwich Project. I mean, I'm really dating myself here. I mean, I don't know if anyone, of a certain age care, but the Blair Witch Project was huge. It was like a handheld, pseudo.
Amusingly, for me, you're dating yourself as young.
I recognize it. Yeah, it's like, after a while, you're like, all right, well, we're on a spectrum here. And, I mean, I don't even know if people watch the Blair Witch Project anymore.
It was such a phenomenon of the time, but I doubt, actually, as someone with a 17-year-old under their roof, who is addicted to horror, I would never say, hey, let's watch Blair Witch this weekend. It was of its time.
Yeah.
And I actually thought I wasn't impressed at the time either. I was probably in my third, but anyway. Go on.
It was such a
but by the way, did you grow up in California or somewhere else?
Oh, well, so we started in Kansas, but I grew up in North Carolina. That's where, I was there. And, I think that's part of my filmmaking journey is, we did the Sandwich Project, which was a horror comedy, but we ended up getting connected with some NC School of the Arts graduates. So we were doing like this, independent, after school special kind of thing when I was in high school. And we were lucky enough to get paired up with some guys from that school, one of which directed was Jeff Siebenek. He became an editor for like Rough House, Righteous Gemstones, and he did this Star Wars. He did some. He became like this really well respected editor out here, and we kept in touch. But back then, it was just a bunch of kids that were just out of college who were grown-ups to us, and we were a couple high schoolers just getting excited about being in front of a camera. And throughout college, I would make some videos with my buddies and that kind of a thing. And then eventually,
But college wasn't. But you didn't do a film program in college.
No, I went to a Christian college in Nashville, Tennessee, Trevecca Nazarene University, and I went there because I grew up religious, and my uncle was a pastor, and my grandfather, and I thought I was going to go into the ministry. But the problem was I was enjoying all of my drama classes more, and I was watching all of Tarantino's movies, like just being a basic film bro at night. And I was like, I think I really like movies. So, I made the hard choice to change my major from religion to, dramatic arts and mass comm film. And that meant I had to take a semester in LA. So I think, I kind of always maybe knew I wanted to end up here a little bit, but I couldn't admit it. So that helped my transition. That semester I moved out to LA. That was like in 2006. And man, I stayed here ever since. I got a roommate with like three other dudes in East Hollywood in 2006. And, it's looking back, I'm like, it was easier then. Like, I feel like every year it's got to be harder and harder to just move out here with no money and just figure it out. I mean, I can't imagine doing that now. So props to anyone who's young and who moved out here from Kansas or Tennessee or North Carolina or wherever have you without any connections or money, because it was just the love of the game that got me out here. And it's been a long and winding road.
That's true. I don't think about the fact that 2006, a young person coming out to Los Angeles. I mean, now I'm just thinking about the cost of living of this city and how hard it is to come here in 2025 versus 2006. I mean, my goodness, I can't even wrap my head around it. But by the way, that's so cool that your university had that program that brought you out here too.
Yeah.
Because that's beats the heck out of, for what you wanted to do in life in the end. That was much better than a semester abroad.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, and they had a good program out here, and, it was like a introductory dip your toes into the water. They got an internship, and they kind of helped you get settled in a little bit. And some of my earliest friends were from that program. But, and looking back, it's kind of like one thing just kind of always led to another. And, we don't have to go through all the steps, but eventually I found myself working in documentaries after a long period of trying to figure it out. And documentaries really kind of helped me reconnect with the love of filmmaking. Like, it wasn't too far away from what I was doing with my high school friends and college friends, where it's like, hey, let's just get a camera, except it's a little bit nicer. But it's not like, oh, you have to raise $20 million or $50 million, or you don't have to go through a studio. So getting into docs helped me on the path that eventually helped me make Housesitters, where it's just me and my sister, these two friends in their house, their friends, a couple other people on my iPhone in a light. And then at the end of it, we have a short film that we're all pretty proud of.
And really, I mean, I don't have to sell you on it, obviously, but it really looks great. I mean, I actually would be shocked if anyone were to guess that you shot on iPhone. I don't think they could guess. I really don't. Oh, did you put one of those nice lenses on it?
The closest I had was like an ND filter, just so I can can't remember. Just so I could bump up the ISO or lower the ISO. Or it was an iPhone 11. It's funny. It's like even now, the setup I had is outdated. Like we shot it in like 2022, 2021, something like that. So even like the phones that most people are walking around with now, you don't even need to add a nice piece of filter. But no, my setup, and consciously I try to keep it pretty simple, pretty light, because I just didn't want Matt and Erin be like in a good zone and be like, hold on, I need to do this thing. And I tried really hard to make the setups clean, easy, light, keep the energy up. We did it in 2 days over a weekend, which isn't crazy, but it was, 17 pages. So yeah, we moved quick and we kept it light, and it was all about keeping the energy up. So yeah.
Yeah, and I bet that was doing it that way. Did that even make it easier for them to just deliver their best performances? It almost sounds like, as a producer and director, you created a situation where, like, it wasn't, comedy doesn't need a high pressure situation where it's like, oh my God, like, we've got to you know what I mean? I'm trying to get at the idea that the movie is incredibly fun, and it sounds like you intentionally made the shooting of it very fun.
Yeah, exactly. I think, if the opposite of a drama where like the intensity and the severity and a laser focus and everything's going to be right. I think the whole thing felt very loose and free. And, I will say we did spend like a couple hours a week beforehand where we went through the house and we basically picked the setups, kind of walked through it, did a rehearsal. We kind of knew. So we weren't spending those 2 days rewriting the whole thing. We knew, okay, now's our time. We have 2 hours to do this. So with all that already done, we knew it was just time to play. So it felt more like a stage play where we're like, okay, we're here. This is what we're doing. Let's knock it out. Have some fun. Okay, you guys take a break. We'll figure out the next thing. And I love working that way. I mean, I feel like a lot of us feel like you have to go through pain to make something good. And especially as the whole city and the industry is really looking at, wait, what are we doing here? Like, why are we making movies? It's important to be like, hey, we're humans that are living a life. And part of what you get out of a film is not just the finished project, but like the memories and the feelings that you get making it. I know that sounds a little woo-woo, but it's like, I have a lot of good feelings for Matt and Erin and all the other folks and that was a good weekend. That was a really fun way to spend a weekend. So, and I know a lot of people feel that way, but I think that's a priority you kind of have to set up when you're thinking about production, schedule, setups. And maybe you're like, I don't care. I want this really cool shot and that's going to get A24 knocking on my door. And it's like, I get that. If that's your ambition, then I get it. But maybe my ambition is more just like, just have a good time, make some memories, and learn a couple of things. So,
honestly, you're barking up my tree because I'm very frequently on that side of the fence where it's like, life is pretty freaking short.
Yeah,
and I get it. So there are sometimes you have to suffer for your art, but especially this where they came to you with a funny idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just life should be and how much you and they and everyone, this whole team enjoyed it, just jumps right through the screen for sure.
Thanks. Yeah, and it's like I think I think we all had something we wanted to do. Like, that's a very basic way of saying how we want to challenge ourselves. And for me, I had a short list of things that this was giving to me as a director, and I was focused on that. Everything that fell out of that, outside of harming the project itself, I just kind of let go. There were some shots I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. This is going to be fun. But really, I wasn't trying to like blow anyone's mind with cinematography. I was just trying to do a meat and potatoes thing. I was just trying to try some cool light stuff, but really just working with a big ensemble. And I was like, okay, here's a handful of things I want to accomplish. And that's good enough for me. If you go in there and you're like, hey, I have all this I want to do. This is going to be my business card and whatever, you're maybe going to get bits and pieces of that. So I don't know. I think it's kind of important to, every time I've felt like I've done well on a shoot, even if it's for a documentary, is like, what am I trying to get out of this? Is it trying to get something beautiful? Is it trying to get a better collaboration? Is it trying to get better at managing my day or whatever it is? So that's how I approach things, and it helps me feel successful, even if on the page or whatever it is. I know we got 2 awards for this, which is like, all right, we have some success, but I think if you're an independent filmmaker, it's hard to find those metrics of success. So yeah.
Yeah, we live in a time when, well, I don't know. I I feel like independent things like the Housesitters definitely don't get. I mean, it's just a real challenge to get audiences' attention now in this era, and you know, I don't know. I have a personal history of just trying to shine a brighter spotlight on it, and because as someone running two film festivals, very frequently people will come up to me afterwards, like in the theater lobby, and honestly, like an actor or somebody's parents will come over and go, sometimes they'll say something nice to me, but then they'll go, I loved every short in that block. I didn't know that people were making shorts. When my nephew made a short, I thought he was weird, and like I'm like, yeah, there are hundreds of shorts we've shown over we just had our 10th anniversary. We're about to have our 10th anniversary for Sherman Oaks Film Festival, and that's a lot of shorts. We've shown a lot of wonderful shorts, and I'm like, people would not believe the caliber of them.
Well, I mean, Jeff, I got a shout out to you. I mean, this was my experience and why I submitted to Sherman Oaks is I went there, Karina, your producer, and like I mentioned before, we've produced now two shorts together, but she had produced and directed and written and acted in the short called Lou that played there. I think it was 2021. I think maybe the year before. Or 2020. Sorry, Karina. And then
2021 because we were actually back in the theater by then.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah. So I mean, it was within a year, like after that, and then her friend and another former collaborator, Michaela Myers, had written and directed one, and it was in the same block. Jeff Can't Swim, and those two, along with all the others in that block, I was sitting there. I was like, wow. These are really good. I wasn't sitting there like pulling out my eyes because I support independent filmmakers, but there's some times you're in a block and you're like, I feel less confident for my film because of the other films in this block. And I'm not saying that about any specific film, but the films I watched then, I was like, wow, banger after banger. And you did a really cool Q&A with all the films, and I'm like, this is what it's all about, just like showing some cool stuff that people don't normally see and highlighting the artists and just hearing about the creative process. So shout out to you. I mean, that's why I submitted, and that's why I'm here, because I respect that, and it's not every day. I mean, I've been in some festivals and I'm like, this is awesome, and some I've shown up and I've been like, okay, maybe I appreciate the laurels, but I didn't realize at what cost, and that's just the fact. I mean, I don't want to be shitting on film festivals, but I think we could all acknowledge there's a wide spectrum, and I appreciate what you do.
Right. Thank you so much. And it is, we don't even have a word in English, I think, for that emotion one feels because I experienced it like in the 90s, like when your film is accepted becomes an official selection of a film festival, it truly is like a really rewarding feeling, very positive. But if you go to that festival and you see a bunch of shitty films and yours playing with them, we don't have a word for that feeling. That feeling, right? That I guess maybe it's just pure disappointment, but even more so, it's like I actually had that experience. If you sit there and you go, well, if these people really, if the people running this festival have this bad taste, what does it mean that they like me?
Right. Yeah, I mean, hey, I mean, you know better than I. I know it's hard to, and I was able to be a juror on another festival of yours that you run, and it was another pleasure of mine, just kind of seeing like the stuff that comes in, and wow, like it's completely unfiltered, other than the category that it was in. And I know it's like, I'm never shitting on festivals or creators, but I think it's just sometimes you just have to be honest about the way it plays out in reality. And when it's good, you gotta you gotta acknowledge that it's good. So, and it was so cool to see my friends Karina and Michaela like have their moment there in our hometown. We're based in LA, all over the city, and I think it's cool. And I am sorry I haven't. You guys have upgraded to a nice big theater that I'm just such a homebody now that I have a kid. I'm like, I need to go back out and see what people are doing out there.
Well, your kid is, by the way, congratulations
Oh,
on having a 4-year-old. I think I can do the math, and your child was 1 when you came to the festival with the Housesitters. But so I believe me, I understand. But
yeah.
and much appreciation to you for being on our filmmakers jury, because I always say to people when they win, you know, I really am very proud to have a festival where alumni form a jury, and then awards are decided by people's peers, people still making films. Because I can tell you, if someone's not an active filmmaker, their perspective as a juror is not the same.
Right.
In fact, I won't name names, but like just this last festival we had in June, we actually had a couple new jurors. Oh my God, I really shouldn't say this, but whatever. Life is short. Got to have fun. They were screenwriters who hadn't had something produced yet.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And their level of criticism was so high.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, you're shitting on a film that I consider brilliant. And yeah, I'm probably not inviting you back. But anyway, here I am. I'm just using you to vent about jurors, but I really appreciate you. And honestly, Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion Los Angeles were almost an experiment in like, what if instead of selecting a slate of films based upon how many tickets you can sell, and like if there's a big cast and it was shot locally and it's pretty bad, that's a really smart film to program if you want to break even or make some money. And we just decided, let's see if we can do well with quality first.
Yeah.
And I hope you experience that as a juror, because as a filmmakers board juror, you're not watching all the submissions, you're watching the official selections and deciding what awards go to whom. And I mean, I know not everything's for everyone, but I think our standards are quite high.
Yeah. No, it was really impressed. I mean, it's I think I feel challenged sometimes when I see other peers work, and it's like, wow, okay, they were able to do that thing, and it doesn't look like they had this crazy budget or anything like that. Like I was saying before, my handful of things I wanted to get. Sometimes it's cool just to be like, I want to get this really crazy, cool sequence, and I just want to get it. I want to film it, and I want to know that I can do it. And when you see someone else do it that has a similar situation that you have, it's inspiring, because you're like, you know what, I can try to take it to that limit. So, I'm always pro film festival. If you have something, I think there's some, and right now with like YouTube and all this stuff, people are like, just put it up on YouTube. And I feel like I'm definitely like, take it out there, see where it lands, attend in person, watch what you make in front of people. And if you're lucky enough to get a Q&A, that's a whole, and like, that's what's so cool. What you do is like, talking about your art is a whole other part of the thing that filmmakers don't know. And I've worked with a director that's very, very good at talking about what the film is and why it's important. And when I saw him do Q&As for the very first film and everyone after that, I'm like, wow, that's how you talk about a film. you package it for the audience, you make it understandable. And so if you're a filmmaker, the Q&A is just as important as, not just as, that's not fair, but I think it's something that filmmakers should weigh with the experience of a film festival.
Well, and film is an art form. Of course, it's a collaborative medium, and it really is combining several art forms. It's combining performance, it's combining photography, it's combining writing. It truly is. It's it really is an organism with many working parts to it, and I feel strongly like the Q&A thing. When I hear about festivals, I've actually had a conversation with a festival runner of another festival, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are whatever. You guys do those long Q&As. Yeah, filmmakers love that shit. I don't give a fuck. I want to get, I want 9 shorts. I want to get that. I want to sell as many tickets as possible and then move them outside. They can talk about it." And I'm like, if you're just going to watch the films, not discuss them and go home, then you should just watch them at home. Like, film is meant to be shared. It's meant to be shared, and the audience and the creators exchanging their opinions and ideas in that Q&A, like I believe strongly. But then again, obviously I'm very biased. I was the kind of person who always wanted to see films with a group of friends and then, go to Denny's afterwards and discuss it,
Yeah.
But that is it's so special to share, and we don't really get to do that. And heck, now we've even lost it's interesting. I did think of how we kind of lost the water cooler TV show thing of, it used to be if you had a job, every Friday you talked about what you saw on TV the night before on Thursday. But now with streaming, we're all watching something different.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I not pretty recently, I did have an office job, and we're old school. A lot of us like to go into the office, and, Severance was one of the we were like, at least all the audience. And that felt so old school in that moment. Okay, we were all watching HBO and we knew on Monday or whenever it was. But yeah, that's a retro thing. So
yeah, it's rare for a streaming show to be hot enough that you can get like a critical mass of people to watch it at the same time and be able to discuss it. Because normally it's like there's spoiler issues, there's all kinds of issues. Yeah. And Severance is actually one of those. Apple does they're doing the HBO model, right? They do one a week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only reason. Otherwise, people would have lapped me easily. I'm like, give me a week. Like, give me a week to catch up, and then we could talk.
Yeah. You can find an hour during that week, but people who binge 8 hours the first night it's released are going to spoil the thing for you at work the next day.
For sure.
Yeah, true. But I feel the same way about film, and that's why, what can I say? I love the festival experience, and I have goofy ideas. I'm like, yeah, boy, I just wish there was a way to, when you put Housesitters on your YouTube, have a viewing party or something, and then everyone hops on Zoom to talk about it again, because it's art's meant to be shared.
That's a really cool idea. I'll say, like, I'm really looking at YouTube as, I know, so I'm an old man. I've heard this thing called YouTube, and I think it's going to be big. Obviously, YouTube landed like the year I moved out here, and I was like, oh, okay, that seems cool. Like, we could watch, the Chronicles of Narnia and, dumb internet videos, but that's different than the thing I'm moving out here for. And then now, like, almost 20 years later, I'm like, is that how independent film or independent filmmakers, have a platform to talk about? It's not quite there yet. The case study hasn't fully been made, but, as Hollywood is kind of shifting and all this stuff, we kind of need to use every tool we have. And the media landscape is shifting. Mainstream media is kind of falling apart. And, even, podcasts like this or whatever it's all kind of, we're getting little bursts of information here and there. It's not these like 3 affiliates like CBS, NBC, ABC, like it was like 50 years ago. So now we're so far over here. And I guess what I'm saying is I'm a filmmaker that's pretty bullish on YouTube, and I don't know exactly what that means, but if that means that more individual artists can make art that they only have to answer to a small amount of people that care about them, I think that's really cool, rather than this big, huge, studio system now, which is really confused, and the streaming. I think there's just a lot of uncertainty there. So I think what would be cool is individual artists just finding ways to stand up for themselves and create something special for audiences.
What's very funny is the podcast that will be released right before this one. I recorded on Zoom with a filmmaker who's out in Berlin right now. Mm-hmm. But she's American, and I ended up because you probably know this through Karina, that Karina's film Lou was when I was still doing the Amazon TV series.
Oh yeah,
out of this podcast where we used Prime Video Direct to put up 10 episodes per season of anyone who had a short who was on this podcast, and we'd be like, hey, if you want to put it on, every time we end up with 10 half-hour episodes of shorts put together that played well together, and it was doing wonderfully well. Actually, we were up at 10,000 unique viewers a week, and It was just growing. And then Amazon, they own the servers. It's their right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They punched us in the stomach and said, you can't be included with Prime anymore. You've got to be 99 cents an episode and $7.99 a season. Oh. And because I'm old, I'm real old compared to you. I just couldn't wrap my head around YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I finally have realized that that Discover Indie Film TV series really should get over to YouTube, and we should be adding, and by the way, when I said this filmmaker in Berlin goes, Jeff, you don't watch YouTube? And I'm like, for the last 20 years to me, or however long, yeah, I guess it is. YouTube is nearly 20 years old. Yeah. I've been I can't find things I want to watch on there. But just recently, I'm finally, because, it just didn't compute for an old fart. But now I get it. It's actually the video podcast thing, which is really just a talk show. And I am not doing that yet because I'm still so old school on I started this podcast in 2017 when audio only was the only option.
Yeah.
And I don't really see myself as a talk show host, but there's a couple of video podcasts and I subscribe to on YouTube. And then the algorithm is sneaking in on me and showing me other videos that I would want to watch. And I do want to watch them. So I'm getting it. I'm starting to get it. It's
not a magic bullet. I'm not trying to say it's that's the answer for all answers, but there is, it's definitely trending a certain way.
And particularly in this independent world where, look, I believe strongly, I'm biased, but I believe that the creativity and originality that one sees in the quality independent films one sees on the festival circuit it's 9 times out of 10, it is better than what you get from major Hollywood studios, because it's not being filtered through a corporate system where they're need to maximize profits out of intellectual. They just how do we make the most money off this IP? Well, we've got to make it appeal to as many people as possible, get rid of the racy jokes, get rid of this, get rid of that. I mean, there's stuff in the Housesitters that wouldn't have made it through a corporation's legal department probably, but although there's nothing inappropriate, I wouldn't say that, but you know what I mean? So I am with you. I'm bullish because YouTube, there might be 7 billion hours of video on there, but you can put original things on there, and there are people that will find it. And
Yeah.
And the
Theoretically, you
streamers,
would have an
as
audience.
as I complained about, as I said about Amazon, Amazon actually pulled down one of our films in that series that was a very beautiful artistic film that related to a miscarriage. And it got pulled down for gore and violence. And mind you, there was just a blood stain on the bed. That was it.
Wow.
And this is the same streaming service that had the show The Boys, where
Yeah.
unbelievably, like, really creative, brilliant levels of blood and violence and gore.
Yeah.
And we got nailed for bloody sheets.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that level of censorship. So that's the thing, is in the streaming world, it'll never be a proper home for independent, creative, original work, because deep down they have limited server space, and they're going to go with the lowest common denominator again, just like network TV was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that you were exploring that, because you do have this hybrid of festival and then streaming, where you're like, hey, this is already pre-vetted, this is pre-curated, we're the distributor in a way, and we're giving it to you. I think that's a really cool idea, because like I said before, I'm not someone who's just like make a short film and drop it on YouTube. I really think there's merit in getting people together in a theater and watching it with them, and getting strangers to watch your film. And also, watching something on YouTube is a different experience. Like 30 seconds in, if you're not like hooked, you're going to be like, well, clicking away. But if you're in a theater, you're not going to stand up and cross 20 people to walk down and get yourself a new bucket of popcorn. You're there. And then 2 minutes in, you're going to be like, oh, okay. That's why we're listening to this guy breathing for 30 minutes in the dark. Okay, now we get it. So I'm not saying it's all in, but, I don't know. I've just been trying to figure out how, with everything changing, how can independent filmmaking be not something that's just for people of wealth and power and, industry connections. I mean, like we talked about my son before, he's born out here. I'm like, all right, can I create an nepotism baby that will go straight to the top? It's like, I already put down my roots, nothing against, I'm not even like an anti-nepo baby. It's just, I think once you realize like how hard it is to break through, then you're kind of like, okay, this is not an easy thing. And, so anyways,
you know what? I'm just gonna jump on a soapbox next to you, if it's okay, and say,
sure.
I too I do not have blanket negative feelings about the nepotism. I just love, I will actually name the Jack Quaid kid, Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan's son. He gave an interview and said, of course my parents helped me get where I am. It took a ton of work, but I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't had the advantages I had, but I work as hard as I can. And I'm like, I'm a huge fan. Whereas some people, I won't bother naming the names, will say like, oh, the fact that my parents were famous too didn't help me at all. I had to work harder than anyone else. And I'm like, no, you didn't. If you've been born in Montana and your parents had a soybean farm, you would not be in movies.
Yeah.
Don't pretend you would. Just acknowledge that, like, you can't suck and be on screen, or be a director, or be a this, or be a that. But just acknowledge that you started this 100-yard dash, like, 60 yards in. But to make those last 40 yards, you still had to run your ass off. Like,
for sure.
Like, I'll respect you. I'll respect you to the end, as long as you acknowledge that you had some privileges that the average person didn't.
Sure. Yeah.
And you didn't. You came out from South Carolina, and like, you had to kick ass to get in.
Thanks. And, I think, that also I had certain privileges that we could talk about that other people don't have, or, there's a million ways you could dissect it. But I think ultimately, if you take yourself seriously as someone who wants to be a filmmaker, Like, you just have to keep the whole thing in perspective, where it's like, I think eventually I was like, wow, I'm glad I even got this far, you know, got my name on a couple of documentaries, very proud of my work, shot a couple short films, very proud of those. I'm not where I thought I would be when I moved out here 20 years ago. But then also now I realize, hey, this is this is an industry that people want to be in. It's a hard industry. It's a fickle one. You could get in, you could get out. So just got to keep the whole thing in perspective. And like you said, you know, if you've been given a leg up, but there's no problem just being like, yeah, I got lucky. And that's fine. Like, luck is fine. And if you get lucky, take it by all means, take the opportunity. But I mean,
Yeah,
I think
in fact, the only problem with privilege is when people take it for granted instead of appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff, I want to, this is a little bit of a curveball. I want to talk to you about it because I know it's getting late and we have other stuff, but the same year that I submitted the Housesitters, I actually submitted another short film of mine that didn't get in, and that's fine. I'm not being like, but I'm just saying as a object lesson or something like that. So that short film I made on my iPhone that Matt and Erin saw is called 010, and it's like this weird nightmarish sci-fi thing that is definitely a COVID movie. Like, you barely see more than 2 people on screen at a time. I submitted it, and I had made that the year before, 2021, the exact same time, and I got both, like, you've been accepted in the Housesitters, and then you got declined, 010. And similarly, at the Highland Park Film Festival later, I submitted both, but Housesitters didn't get in, but 010 did get in. And for me, it was this cool kind of vindication where I'm like, I love both films for different reasons. They mean different things to me, but, you know, I wasn't like, oh, Housesitters is better than 010. And then later, oh, 010 is better than Housesitters. It kind of helped me just be like, oh, whatever you guys are looking for, whatever you're drawn to, whatever you're trying to program or whatever. And Highland Park Film Festival had a whole sci-fi block, and it kind of fit in with the paranoid thing they were doing. And, you know, we had like a really fun kind of over-the-top comedy block at Sherman Oaks when we played there. And I was like, this makes sense. Like, this is all cool. So I just want to tell you that. I don't know why you would even peg that, but I was just looking over my notes and I was like, oh yeah, I got a rejection and an acceptance from Sherman Oaks the same year. And it was great. I mean, yeah.
It's funny. I mean, I mean, that's so now basically I just kind of want to go back and watch it because I'm sure I did watch it in the summer of 2022. Mm-hmm. And I will do myself the favor of not pulling it up in front of me and looking at like what my rating was versus other, because I will tell you, sometimes I hear that and I go back and look and like, oh, I gave it a 9, but then other jurors gave it less, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, sure.
In general, stuff is watched by like, 5 to 10 jurors. And then, and then I'm the guy who sorts the spreadsheet and comes up with a festival. But it is always interesting. It's an interesting, jury selection isn't whatever. Making official selections is an interesting process. But I did actually pull up 010 though, and I see you got a lot of nice laurels on there. So yeah, you had a nice run with 2 films at once.
Well, yeah, 2021 was 010, and then about 6 months after that played at Dances with Films in 2021, and then, but I think if anyone's interested in mobile filmmaking, smartphone filmmaking, there's a whole kind of subgenre of festivals that specifically program those films, and I'm not saying that it's easier to get into. I'm not saying that those festivals, and I hope you don't mind me just talking about festivals because I rarely get, but I think people, I'll just say like my buddy is submitting a film to festivals that I think is really good, and I help produce, and it's every time you're in that zone, which I've been in, you're just like rejection. You're like, am I wasting my time? Am I talentless? Am I a hack or whatever it is? Like all that. And then eventually you get in and then maybe you get another one. Then you get another one. You're like, okay. But I guess what I'm saying is like, there's strategies to submitting film festivals. And that's not to say being, hackish or anything like that. I think it's like, just look at your film, look at where you are, look who it's playing to, and try not to take it personally. And if you shoot on your iPhone, find out the iPhone film festivals. If you're local, like we are, to Sherman Oaks Film Festival, you got to submit to the local ones. And you got to see, maybe if you're thinking about it, visit the Sherman Oaks Film Festival in the block that you're interested in and watch what's playing there. Obviously, I'm kind of preaching that religion thing that I had when I was younger, never fully left. But I think what you're doing is pretty cool, just platforming independent filmmakers. And if so, there are independent filmmakers that are listening, then I think those are all good things to just keep in mind. You know, it's just got to be strategic about where you submit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, check out.
Yeah, although I admit, like, I have nothing but empathy for the situation because, you know, sometimes we'll get emails from people saying, "Hey, my film is like this. Do you think you'd be interested in it?" Yeah. And the answer is, we can't answer that question. What do you mean? We can't watch it before you submit it.
Yeah.
And because then, boom, everyone now we all will have to develop a meth habit to stay up 24 hours a day for 6 months and watch every we can't pre-watch submissions. We can't tell you. And because we're quality, all we care about is the quality. We honestly don't care about the genre, the subject matter. I mean, obviously if something strikes jury members as offensive,
right.
Although I admit I have not put my finger on the scale, but if some of our jurors find something offensive and I think it's actually really quite good and I can come up with a defense for it, I'll put up a little fight because as long as it's offensive for a reason I can respect, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's not straight up. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, there's no way to know. Like we honestly just go with the films that we feel are best. I always joke with people. I'm like, people say, what category should I submit? Should I submit this under drama or thriller? And I'll say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what, because if we get 700 films submitted and the best 65 are all the same genre, well, then we're going to be a one genre festival that year. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I sincerely mean it. Like, the only funny thing about that is, and I'm joking for Graham now, I'm looking right and left to make sure no one can hear me, is that if by some weird coincidence a film is like the only thriller that makes it through the official selection process, then it's like, oh shit, that one's going to get a lot of awards because we do give awards based on genre. Like the genre doesn't matter to us until it comes time to give out awards.
Right.
And so sometimes I felt bad because the filmmakers looked me in the eyes and said, "Oh my God, my film," and I'm like, well, your film is wonderful, but the reason you got all those awards is you didn't have any competition with us because no one else made a good thriller that year. You know?
Yeah.
But
it's the best way to win, no competition. Just
it is. And sometimes I feel a little silly about it, but you know, we're not gonna refuse to give someone, you know, outstanding director, outstanding writing, outstanding this, outstanding, you know. We're gonna give them the awards they deserve, even, you know.
Yeah.
And it is funny. I will, you know, we have a couple people who share our inbox for the film festivals. And I will say, look, if you care about awards, don't choose drama. because your film that could be horror or drama, you know, I wish I could say that our jury is immune, but it's really hard to beat that children with cancer film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I joke, I'm a cancer survivor, and like a really tough drama like that, even our indie film festival jury, we're that those it's really hard to knock those off the best list.
Oh,
You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I know
you've been a juror with us, so you
I
understand.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did. I think I was in experimental and what was it? Maybe it was a thriller. It was some really out there stuff. It was fun. But yeah, I mean, I think, we were talking about comedy and horror earlier. I mean, drama is not, it's sexy, but it's also not sexy. It's so straight and narrow. If you can make people feel something, I mean, you win, dude. I mean, I think that's what it is. And, if it's a cancer story and, it's, and hats off to you for surviving. I mean, that stuff, we're all touched in some way by a story like that. And if you're willing to go there and you actually land the plane, if you're actually able to tell a cancer story or abuse or miscarriage or whatever it is, and it's not cloying, then, as someone who makes dumb jokes and kind of silly things or whatever, I'm like, my hat's off to you, because I can't do that without cracking a joke or making a horror movie or playing with genre, because sometimes you just need to go straight for the human experience. So, I mean, that's just a shout out to all those straight shooting drama types. I mean,
For sure. Although I can't help but add in that I have to add two things, which is one, Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion Los Angeles are probably the toughest ones to get in if you got a film like that, because I'm actually not the only survivor on our jury. And if you're full of shit, if you're like a film school kid who like, I'm going to make and you have no insight into it.
Yeah.
We sniff it out fast.
I'm sure.
And then the second thing, and I've actually talked to, okay, I can say this. We've had a staffer come to us with a film that had a cancer element in it, and she asked me to watch it, and I watched it. She hadn't submitted it, and I said, "Okay, so you directed this. Someone else wrote it. That person never had cancer." And she's like, I said, "Tell me I'm wrong." And she said, "No, you're right." And I said, "Yeah, because they're full of shit." Because that's not the experience at all.
Yeah.
But the other thing I really just wanted to add was, I can say, if someone would just make a cancer comedy, please.
Yeah.
Because it's not, it's, I think that's pretty fertile ground for a creative person to, in fact, I think you and your team could make a hilarious one. Because Lord knows that, Erin and Matt are really good at being dark comedians.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've seen a couple over my time, and every time I'm like, it's good. I mean, like 50-50 was one, and the one with Molly Shannon, Jesse Plemons a while ago. I can't remember the name of that one. That was really, but yeah, they're few and far between. I mean, to take something seriously and make people laugh. But yeah, if anyone could do it, Matt and Erin could do it, and take us all the way there.
I can tell you that my wife and I are both survivors, and we will have joke conversations about, like, my chemo was so much harder than hers. I'm like, your chemo was weak. You barely had chemo.
Yeah.
Well,
that's how people deal with it. I mean, I think what you're saying is important. It's like, two things is like, people deal with things with humor. If anything's too serious, then I'm a little bit like, okay, I'm following you, but I don't deal with things that way. And two, what you were saying before is like, it's so basic, but write what you know. And it's like, if you don't have an experience or close experience with something like cancer or whatever, it's like, just let it be, man. Like, there's someone else's story. Like, but maybe you have another story you should tell.
Yeah. Or at least run it by people who can let you know if you have a a genuine perspective on it.
Mm-hmm.
But, in this case, it was what it was.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I do want to have time for you to get a four questions in. So, is there, well, by the way, anything you want to throw in before we wrap it up? I didn't prepare you for this. I didn't, but we've had this fun chat and I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm cutting you off, but.
Well, it's late. Yeah.
Just lay here.
Yeah. I appreciate you during the midnight oil. I'm all good. I mean, unless you need anything from me, I'm happy to.
No, well, but please, when we, tonight when we get off or tomorrow or the next day, just hit reply on that email chain we've got and give me all the links and social media handles, anything that you want included in the show notes of this episode. And I suppose your friend and my producer Karina will make sure they're in there correctly. I actually didn't know. I actually didn't. If I had known that before, I didn't remember it that you came to Sherman Oaks having been there the year before to support your friends. But boy, that's a great. I love hearing that. By the way, I always enjoy when like someone comes and sees what we do and then gets to be a part of it. I think that's really special.
It was a great experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
And Karina and Michaela had great films. So it was like, oh, great.
Really great. I mean, honestly, the work they do is always great. Mm-hmm. Your work is great, but I'm always really impressed with Michaela because that was her second film with us because she had that very serious drama. I think the COVID year.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I've seen that. The Tristan and
Tristan and Isaac, I believe.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
Oh, so good. Oh, it's a really good one.
I remember she was shooting on film, and we're all like, "Whoa, you're shooting? Are we allowed to do that?"
Well, cool. And I think I also have to mention that her now husband John Ebeling, he'd also been with us before.
Oh, that's cool. You guys got a whole community. Yeah,
he had a really funny, original, dramatic film before that. I'm creeping up on 60 in my memory. I'm not. It was a great film about getting over an ex. Great.
Oh
film.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
And I'm fucking up by not remembering his title, but
that's all
my
good.
bad.
I mean, I don't know how you keep track of all this. I mean,
I have to admit, it was a lot easier when we were like a cute little festival for 2 nights in Sherman Oaks in a little playhouse. I love that we've kept the same vibe in a bigger theater on multiple screens at once. But boy, sometimes I have to look at people's, like I sometimes I can't remember people anymore. It's just and my memory's not as good.
I'm entering that phase where I'm like, I already used all of these little boxes in my head, and I'm just dumping out boxes and sticking in new memories now. So
well, and you are parenting. There's got to be a lot of research proving that 40% of your brain kind of turns into oatmeal after
we've been through it. So
because it is more fun to play with your kid than read interesting books for a while, and then you emerge and you're like,
hey,
in fact, I just spent the weekend playing with my friend's 3-year-old, and it's so great. So great. Here I am, already eager to be a grandpa. All right, let me wrap it up. Sam, thank you so much for being here. And thank you, everyone, for listening. If you want to learn more about this podcast, just go to discoverindiefilm.com on social media. It's always at DIFwins. I have personally quit social media, which means if you write to us on any of the platforms, Karina Wolf will answer you. But if you write to us on Blue Sky, and so far nobody has, But I do check Blue Sky because it's so dead I can handle it. And as far as I know, there's no algorithms or anything. So I'm the Blue Sky guy. Karina handles the rest. And that's discoveryndiefilm.com and at DIF wins. And discoverindiefilm.org, that is for our foundation, the nonprofit that runs the 2 festivals that we kept mentioning. So, you know what? Check that out. You know, we are a nonprofit for the arts, and thank goodness we have a government for now that helps at this point. Yeah. Lord knows. Amusingly, we don't actually make a profit, so we don't have to worry about paying taxes anyway. But it's nice that if we started making money, we could save it for the following year without paying taxes on it.
That would be nice. Yeah,
I really shouldn't boast that. I mean, sometimes I'm proud to be a bad capitalist, but really, we need to. Every year, we have to hire more people, and I'm like, oh my god, we got to be a little smarter. We'll never change the quality of the films, but you know, I got to be smarter about how many staff we really need on it. But anyway, why am I talking about that? All right, discoverindiefilm.com, discoverindiefilm.org, Sherman Oaks Film Festival that we hold every December. This is December, will be the 10th anniversary, is ShermanOaksFF.com and at ShermanOaksFF on social media. It's Sister Festival that we hold every June. We just had the 10th anniversary of Film Invasion Los Angeles. So you can learn more if you go to filminvasionla.com, and it's at filminvasionla on social media. And I call them sister festivals. They get a cousin next year. Next year, we are launching Film Invasion Lima, Peru.
Whoa.
January 2026. And I'm super excited about it. I honestly have almost no idea what's going to go down, but there's a beautiful theater in the Spanish Quarter of Lima where the museums and everything are, and it's beautiful. And after I hit stop, I'm going to tell Graham how much that theater is going to cost for 6 hours, but it's about 1/7 the cost of a theater in Los Angeles. So I'm like, hey, we're not going to lose money, and maybe I should move to Lima and then fly up to LA for festivals instead of live in LA and fly down to Lima for a festival, because Lord knows. But anyway, Graham, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Excellent. And thank you everyone for listening. And the next podcast after this one, Graham is going to answer 4 questions for me about films that aren't his. So here we go. I'll thank you one last time and thank everyone for listening.